Hello neighbors, I am Adam Gobetti, candidate for Broomfield City Council Ward 5, coming to you with the tale of mold and madness, the money pit on our Main Street. Here on the corner of 120th and Main Street, we have a blighted building the city owns and plans to use as part of a massive development project. The old Safeway, which is not so safe, and I personally think it's in the way. This building is dangerous, expensive, and useless, filled with mold, all the internals gutted, and the roof is in terrible shape. It's been abandoned here for about a decade. The city started talking about plans for the Broomfield Town Square in 2007, 15 years ago. Now, a lot has changed in 15 years. Honestly, a lot has changed in the last 4 years since the big round of approvals in 2019. So we're already off to a bad start. How many things were you working on 15 years ago that you're still doing with no updates to the goals or direction? No construction has been started, but this is reported to have already cost the city about $5 million, including what was spent to acquire the building, which has now been sitting empty for about a decade. By the way, I think that cost is a big underestimation, and that does not even include the over $1 million being discussed to repair the roof yet again. To be clear, these repairs have nothing to do with any of the actual development. All it does is keep the building standing as it is now. If the project ever does happen, it's going to cost Broomfield taxpayers at least $73 million as part of the overall $329 million development. And let me tell you, I think that's another radical underestimation. This is the First Bank Center all over again, only even more expensive and risky. There's a lot of red flags here. The developer isn't eager to buy the property up front and doesn't make any mention of spending their own money. If this was really such a great investment, it wouldn't need to be funded by the city. It would just get done. And the big central feature is something I think doesn't make any sense at all. Most of the development is not going to be here at the Safeway. It's going to be on the other side of First Avenue. All of that beautiful open space and parkland is going to be replaced by a hodgepodge of buildings and a giant artificial lake. You heard me right, folks. Right here in this beautiful mile-high desert of ours, the City Council plans to spend our money and strain our systems for a giant waste of water. Gonna have a beach and a boathouse and everything. Think about that the next time you hear talk about making it illegal to water your lawn at the wrong time. This lake is 4.5 acres of nonsense. If we assume the average depth is 8 feet, and I bet it's going to be a lot more than that, that is a staggering 11,731,000 gallons. The city has calculated that will cost $678,000 just for the initial fill-up. Of course, after that it will require annual top-ups at additional cost. And again, all of this sounds like an underestimation to me. Over the last few months, I've spent hours wandering this area. Just within a block of this spot, I can find several different unoccupied commercial spaces of every shape and size. There is no unmet demand. That said, all the businesses that are currently here, I personally remember them being here for years, so they're doing something right. It doesn't seem fair to mess things up for them. I'll also add that this tiny little spot is the only area around here I have found that you could call blighted. Right across the street in both directions, there are thriving businesses and very busy areas. The reason nothing can be done here is because the city has locked it up for this pipe dream. There are better options. First and foremost, tear down the building, sell the land, and be done with it. Don't throw good money after bad. Another option, just renovate this area here and leave the open space alone. I understand the appeal of a small open-air market where the building currently stands. I think that would actually be a nice thing to have, and it shouldn't be very disruptive if done by itself. We could have done that years ago if it wasn't part of a giant all-in development plan. And honestly, if you happen to think that the grand overall plan is actually a good one, well, that's still how you would actually get it done. Do it in stages and do it all with private investment. Wealthy developers and investors don't need us subsidizing them. I think that's enough for now. As always, like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Most importantly, remember to vote in November.